This is another video about report writing. In this video, we'll focus on the language that we use in the findings section of the report. Just as a quick review, reports have three parts: the introduction, the sources and methods, the findings, the analysis, discussion, and the conclusion. And each part contains very specific information. In the findings section, there's 2 paragraphs. And that's right there. It's the only section of the report that has 2 paragraphs. The first paragraph states general trends, and the second paragraph gives specific information about the data, maybe years, percents, movement, things like that. Okay, so maybe the first time when you looked at this graph, maybe when you did this worksheet here, and you answered question 13, maybe you said, okay, the doctoral level went down a little bit, stayed the same, and then went up until 2014. And the master's level rose a little bit, then went down a little, stayed the same, and then went up. And the bachelor level, it went up slowly. Okay, but you don't want to use such simple language in your academic paper. There's actually a lot of ways to say went up. You could say increased, or grew, or rose, or had an upward trend, or jumped. And there's a lot of ways to say went down. Decreased, fell, declined, dropped, had a downward trend. And we can even be more specific by adding adverbs. Adverbs for small changes like moderately, slightly, gradually, steadily, or slowly. Or big changes, sharply, rapidly, dramatically, noticeably. We also have words that describe no change, like if something goes up and then stops, we can say it plateaued. Or if it goes down and then it stops, we can say it leveled off. Or if it doesn't really change, we can say it remained constant or remained consistent. Or if it moved a lot and then it stopped moving, we can say it stabilized. We also have a word for wild changes, up and down and up and down and up and down, and that word is fluctuated. Okay, so looking at this graph, can you describe it with some of the language we just talked about? So maybe instead of went up, we can say increased. Maybe increased consistently. Or how about this one? Decreased consistently. Or how about this one? Decreased slightly and consistently. Or how about this one? There's no change. Remained consistent, or remained constant. Or this one? Increased slightly and consistently. How about this one? There's 2 things happening. First what happens, and then what happens? Well, first it decreased dramatically and then leveled off. Or if we go the other way, maybe it increased sharply and plateaued. Or how about these wild changes, up and down and up and down and up and down? Starts with an F. Fluctuated. Okay, there's 2 things happening here again. Increased slowly and then leveled off, or remained stable. Okay, we also have useful words to describe approximation when we're not quite sure of the number. So we might say something is just under or just over if it's under the number by a little bit or over the number by a little bit. Or we can say it is well under or well over if it is under the number by a lot or over the number by a lot. We can also say something is nearly a number, or approximately a number, or around a number, or roughly a number. So now if you look at this graph, maybe you will describe it differently. Okay, let's look at the doctoral level enrollment. That's the gray line here. What's it doing? Okay, well it looks like enrollment began at just over 20%, decreased slightly, remained constant until 2008, and then rose gradually until 2014, when enrollment was just under 30%. Okay, how about the master's level? That's the orange one. What's it doing? Well, enrollment began around maybe 13%. It rose ever so slightly and then decreased slightly. Maybe we could say it fluctuated slightly. It remained stable until 2009, and then it increased rather consistently. Okay, how about the bachelor level? That's the blue one here. Okay, so that started at roughly 6%. Enrollment started roughly 6%. And then it increased slowly, but it increased the whole time. So it increased slowly until 2014, when it was just under 10%. Okay, this language was better, and it would be more appropriate for that second paragraph in the findings section. You'll see some of this language in the example report. We have increased, we have approximately, slight decrease, continued to rise with consistency, increased more gradually. Okay, so there's lots of that language in there. And we're also giving percents, giving numbers, and we're giving years. We're being more specific about the data. Okay, that's some language that should help you in the findings section of your report.